Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are doing fantastic. Stay safe out there, stay blessed out there. Today is very extraordinary because I want to talk to you about how to DIY soul face mask and sell them for profit. Now, this is extraordinary because we're doing the show not in the studio, but I'm home. I'm trying to follow what the authorities have said in terms of social distancing. So, but we'll talk about this particular topic. It's very important. Again, how to DIY soul face masks and sell them for profit. Don't go anywhere. All right, here is the premise of today's show. It's very important. Face masks, whether worn by health professionals or members of the public, help stop the spread of bacteria, germs, and viruses when there is a local or national emergency, or the global outbreak of a virus for that matter. Mask supplies tend to deplete fast. Here is a quick business tutorial on how to produce cloth face coverings and mass sell them for profit. This guide has the triple benefit of helping you earn money while saving lives and help government officials arrest an outbreak. Be safe, be profitable. Let's get into it. All right, I have to talk about this disclaimer here. It's very important. We are in extraordinary times. So, this program, the Sweetie Kiwi Show, is based on reporting that features authoritative sources, including briefings, guidelines, and directives publicized by the White House Coronavirus Task Force, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Now, the content provided herein is for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for government healthcare guidance or professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Always follow healthcare directives promulgated by your local and state officials, as well as federal government agencies, including CDC, FEMA, HHS, and the Office of the Surgeon General. Now let's get into it. The interesting things. Now, to DIY soul face masks and sell them wholesale for profit, I have 5 steps for you. The first, number one, know the primary types of face masks. When we're talking about face masks, what are we talking about really? You have surgical mask, and then you have something called an N95 respirator. Now, a surgical mask is kind of disposable, loose fitting mask, right? So it usually covers your mouth, your nose, your chin. It protects you if you wear it from sprays, splashes, and large particle droplets. It also prevents the spread of infectious respiratory secretions. Now, when you talk about N95 respirators, those are more tight fitting, right? So they basically can filter out up to 95% of very small particles, such as germs, again, viruses, bacteria, and of course, they also will protect you from splashes, sprays, and large droplets. They're usually circular, according to the CDC, they're usually circular or oval, and they are designed to form a tight seal to your face. Now, folks, today we're not going to talk about medical face mask. So we're not going to talk about surgical or N5 respirator mask. We're talking about DIY. But I kind of felt like I needed to give you the background about this industry so you know that there are some industrial category products out there. So because the surgical mask and the N95 respirators are used by healthcare professionals mainly. All right. Now, number two, you want to know what kind of DIY types of face masks there are there. Right now, the Centers for Disease Prevention and Control recommends that you wear face clothed face in coverings in public settings, and this is very important, especially when you have a large number of people in the confined places. I'm talking about the shopping mall, pharmacies, grocery stores, places where people tend to congregate in numbers. You want to wear some kind of a cloth face, all right, to cover your face, right? Now, make sure that you don't place this on children that are younger, than 2, or on senior citizens or people who have some kind of problems breathing. This is very important. You want to be, of course, you want to spread you want to stop the spread of the virus or any virus for that matter, but you don't want to kill people either, right? So this is very important. Now, again, as I said earlier, what we are talking about here. We're not talking about surgical mask or N95 respirators, all right? So as you can see on the screen here, and this picture comes straight from the CDC website. You want the face mask to cover your nose, to cover your mouth, not your eyes, right? Because you want to be able to see, and you can basically sterilize or clean the cloth face covering. Every time it really depends on how often you use the face cloth, the face mask. All right, you can use the washing machine to properly wash the face covering, right? It shouldn't be a problem. The authorities are okay with that. You can one thing that's very important, and the CDC and FEMA have even the Surgeon General office have talked about it, is that you want to be careful not to touch your eyes, nose, and mouth when removing the face covering, and you want to always wash hands immediately after removing. Number three. So, folks, basically, what I'm trying to tell you here is I'm trying to give you an idea of the industry you want to get into, if that's what you want. If you want to produce DIY masks for profit, you need to understand what's happening in the industry and what kind of regulatory guidelines over, are important in the industry. The third thing you want to do is you want to get the necessary equipment and tools. If you want to DIY sew face masks and sell them wholesale for profit, you need to get the necessary equipment and tools. So you have a variety of tools here. We have the basic sewing tools. I mean, this kind of reminds me of what my grandmother used to have before. Now I can put a name on any of those items, but you need pins. So pins, you need. I think that the pins are here. You can see on the screen. You need a pin cushion here, right here. You need a sim ripper, of course. And yeah, I mean, everybody knows what an ironing board is, but I just felt like we wanted to put it on the screen. So you need an iron and ironing board. You also need hand sewing tools. All right, I'm talking about thimble. So the thimble is here, I believe. Yes, here is a thimble. You can see here on the screen here. And you have sewing needles right here. Those are particular types of. I did speak to a couple of folks who were professional tailors and seamstresses, and they basically confirmed to me that those are particular type of needles. And you have scissors. Now, scissors also comes in different types and shapes and forms, and you need to get the ones that fit your particular goals, your particular vision. All right. One thing you also want to get is you want to get machine sewing tools. I'm talking about presser feet, bobbin, duster is here, the screwdriver, of course. You're going to get some oil because, a sewing machine is like a car, right? You need to periodically lubricate it. It's very important. You also need to get some sewing cutting tools. I'm talking about scissors. I've already talked about that. You need spring action, rotary cutter, pinking shears, and thread nippers. Right? Thread nippers are here. Rotary cutters are here. The scissors are here, and the spring action is here. All right, so this is very important. This is what you want to get, and you also need sewing needles. I think I spoke about that before. You had hand sewing needles, sewing machine needles. Now, I quickly want to say that I'm going into the basics here because not everybody is a professional. For those who are professional seamstresses and tailors, you want to still, listen. We'll quickly talk about the business aspect of things, but I just felt it was important for us to introduce the subject for those who might be interested in getting to the business because of a market opportunity or because of some kind of passion, but they don't have the tailoring background. All right. So you also need sewing marking tools. I'm talking about tailor's chalk, disappearing ink. So this is important for tailor from seamsters and seamstresses. Tailor's tack hand also is very important. Another thing you also want to pay attention to that you need to launch your DIY face mask business is clear ruler. You need the French curve. This is a French curve. This is very important. I've seen this a lot at sewist shops, and the button guide and the hem guide. So those are very important. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Q. We're still continuing our conversation today here. And if you love the clarity and quality of the content so far, please drop a like here, subscribe to our channel. We cover a variety of topics and we drop new gems every single day, rain or shine. One or two shows are dropped every single day. We cover again a variety of topics from finance to business to public health to love and relationship to sports. We are an infotainment show. Share this content if you believe someone somewhere might need this to start a business or help the community. Go ahead and please, most importantly, we want you to leave a comment. Speak up. Let us know what you believe, what you think. Have you started a business, a similar business before? What is the situation right now in your neighborhood? Let us know. All right. Now, the disclaimer again, I just want to quickly say this is not, this program is based on reporting that features authoritative sources, including briefings, guidelines, and directives published by the White House Coronavirus Task Force, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Now, this content is for information purposes only. It's not intended to be a substitute for government healthcare guidance or professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. We want to say this: always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any question you may have regarding a medical condition. Always follow healthcare directives promulgated by your local and state officials, as well as federal government agencies, including the CDC, FEMA, HHS, and the Office of the Surgeon General. Now let's continue here. Number four. Remember, I was talking about 5 steps. There are more steps, but number four. Familiarize yourself with the CDC's rules. Now, it's very important whether you have a local uh, public health crisis or a global pandemic. You always want to go back to the CDC's and FEMA's directives, right? So you want to so the kind of products, the kind of face mask that you want to develop, they need to abide by the regulations or at least the directives that your authorities have set out there. So here I want to talk to you about two things: so instructions and no so instructions. Again, this, if you need more information, please go directly to the CDC's website. They have the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases, the NSERD, and the Division of Viral Diseases. You can see the link here. You can take a screenshot, but go there. They have a wealth of information that can help you. So, sewn cloth face covering. So this is now we're getting to the nitty gritty here. The DIY face mask. Now you can sew cloth face covering. To do this, you need certain things of certain numbers of material, right? You need two 10 to 6 inches rectangles of cotton fabric. You need two 6 inches pieces of elastic or rubber bands, string, cloth strips or hair ties, a needle and thread or bobby pin. I showed you that before, scissors, and sewing machine. Now, of course, here we're talking about one sewing machine, but if you want to mass produce, if your goal is to cover an entire neighborhood, you probably need two, three, four, or 10 sewing machines, and a corresponding multiplied number of those items I mentioned earlier. So basically, here's the deal. Here's the tutorial. You cut out two 10 by 6-inch rectangles of cotton fabric, right? You want to use tightly woven cotton such as quilting fabric or cotton sheets. Now, the t-shirt fabric will work in a pinch. It's very important. And what you want to do is, and you want to stack the two rectangles together so you can sew the mask as if it was a single piece of fabric. You can see on the screen, right? You have the length is 10 inches and the width is 6 inches, and this is how you cut it. Number two, fold over the long sides 1/4 inch and hem, right? As you can see here, as you can see on the screen here. Then you want to fold the double layer of fabric over 1/2 inch along the short side, and you want to stitch down. You can see here. All right. So this is the half inch here. You want to stitch them. Okay. I'm going to leave this, you can take a screenshot. Number three, run a 6-inch length of 1/8 inch wide elastic through the water hem on each side of the mask, right? So this is 6 inch, all right? And basically you want to use a large needle. Of course, spoke to you earlier about the material you need to start this business. You want to use a large needle or a bobby pin to thread it through. Tie the ends tight. Now, if you have no elastic, no problem. This is not a problem. It shouldn't be a problem. You can use hair ties or elastic headbands. All right. And if you only have string, you can make the ties longer and tie the mask behind your head. The idea here is to understand how you can produce one face mask effectively and efficiently, so you can just capitalize on the trend. You can actually replicate rather the practice and mass produce. All right. Number four, gently pull. As you can see here, gently pull on the elastic so that the knots are tucked inside the hem, right? And gather the size of the mask on the elastic and adjust so the mask fits your face, right? Again, you have to try this on yourself first before starting selling to clients, right? And you can have a model. It can be yourself, it can be your spouse, it can be a family member or a friend, doesn't matter. Then securely stitch the elastic in place to keep it from slipping. This is very important, folks. You want to make sure that the elastic does not slip, because the whole idea here is to arrest the spread of germs and bacteria by closing those the mouth and the nostrils. So you don't want the elastic to slip. Now, let's go to another tutorial here. The quick cut t-shirt face covering. So you don't need to sew. No sew method. All right. For this material, for this, you only need two things: the t-shirt and the scissors. Again, folks, you can go on the CDC website and get more info here. We're giving you a very quick summarized version of what's possible here. So you can use a t-shirt. So you cut 7 to 8 inches, as you can see here on the screen here, 7 to 8 inches. So you only need a t-shirt and scissors. All right. So what you do here is that number two, you cut out 6 to 7 inches. You cut the tie strings, right? And you tie the strings around the neck, then over the top of your head, right? Again, the bottom line here is you want to prevent any ingurgitation, if you will, of bacteria and viruses and other germs through the mouth and the nostrils. Okay, and we kind of move on. So you can do this with a t-shirt. You can also do this with a bandana. So you can have a face covering. Again, here we are talking about the DIY where you don't need to sew anything, right? You just need to have scissors and a piece of clothing, and they should be fine. So the bandana. So the materials you need here are a bandana or a square cotton cloth, approximately 20 by 20 inches, coffee filter, rubber bands or hair ties, scissors if you're cutting your own cloth. All right. So this is basically it, and the steps are here. You cut number one, you cut the coffee filter. Number two, you sort of arrange it in a way that it is proportional both sides. Number three, you want to fold the filter in center of the folded bandana. Fold top down, very important. You want to fold top down and then bottom up. As you can see here, you have to fold top down and then bottom up. Number four, you want to place the rubber bands or hair ties around 6 inches apart. As you can see here, and make sure that the rubber bands are very, very, very tight. They have to be very resistant, and you want to fold the side to the middle and tuck. Step number six, as you can see here, this is what the final product should be looking like. And number seven, of course, you have to test it, make sure that it holds properly and that it doesn't slip. All right. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're still talking about a very, very important topic today. And the topic here is how to DIY sew face mask and sell them wholesale for profit. Now, before I go a little further, I want to give a big shout out to our millions of viewers in the United States and Canada, Australia, we have folks in Nigeria, we have folks in South Africa and Brazil, the whole wide world. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Please leave a comment below. If you believe this content is adding value to you, leave a comment below. Share this content. Subscribe to our channel. We drop new shows every single day, rain or shine. And like this. We want you to smash the like button for us, please. Okay? Now, the disclaimer, you know it, you've heard about it. I'm not going to go through it again. I just want to let you know that you want to follow the directives that the federal authorities have indicated and published. And this show is not about providing any kind of medical advice. We are a purely informational and educational show. We just give information out there that we believe will be valuable to the public. You take it, you do your own analysis, you implement it, and if things work out, just give us a thumbs up. All right. Now, number 5, you want to implement the 5 C's of business success to make sure that your face mask business actually gets boosted. You need to implement what I call the 5 C's. Now, what are they? Compliance, number 1. Basically, you want to hire an attorney. This is very important, especially in the healthcare industry, because the potential for litigation is higher, I believe. This is just my personal opinion. So you want to hire an attorney. The attorney can help you with a lot of stuff. He or she can help you register your business, choose the kind of legal structure you need, whether you want a sole proprietorship, you want to get a C corporation, S corporation, LLC, LLP, whatever it is, you want to talk to an attorney. Now, I'm not saying you can't do this yourself. You can very easily file the articles of incorporation and register with your state online or by via mail. But it is important to have an attorney because the attorney can help you with other stuff. He or she can help you draft contracts with employment contract, supplier contract, vendor, customer contract. You also want to have the expertise of an attorney so you can comply with local and federal guidelines, right? If you have, if you need to have some licenses and permits, depending where you live, you want to refer to the attorney to help you. And also by doing things the legit way, you can get an EIN. EIN stands for an employer identification number, which is your company's social security number. This is the number that you will be paying taxes through. This is the number where the taxman, the IRS, makes sure that you are contributing your fair share of taxes. And also you need to get a state sales tax ID so you can give you can transfer the sales tax collected from customers to your state authorities. That's the first C. Second C, competency. Now, competency is very important. I mean, I'm just talking here about skill set, right? So you want to get sewist. If you yourself are a sewist, if you are a seamstress or a tailor or a seamster, you have the expertise, that's fine. But if you don't, then you might need to hire people. Even if you have the expertise, you will need a team, right? So you can tap into your relatives, others in the, in your entourage. You can even reach out to community colleges, trade schools, and apprenticeships. Those are good databases, if you will, of talented, sewists. You also need an accountant and tax specialist. Now, we personally recommend a CPA, a certified public accountant, or an enrolled agent, because they have demonstrated the expertise needed to help you. You might need a graphic designer or a web designer, depending. You need a graphic designer for everything around your branding, and a web designer for the website, of course. You might need a business development sales manager, somebody to help you get new business, increase sales. You can do all this. You can do this by yourself. You can do it yourself if you are comfortable, if you have time, or you don't need to hire anybody. I'm just giving you a list of the skill set you need to bring your face mask business to another level. Now, you also need a marketing manager slash communication specialist, right? Somebody to help you to convey your message out there. And finally, you might need an operations manager. This is someone who can talk to vendors, to customers, to regulators, somebody who can also talk to logistics companies, because you have a heavy part of shipping if you have to ship products. If your vision is to cover not just your neighborhood but also the city and the state, then you will need to think about distribution and warehousing and all this kind of stuff. So you need an operations manager. All right. Now, the third C here is cash. Remember, we're talking about the five C's. The third C is cash. Now, cash is very important. Cash is very, very important. You can self finance. You can tap into your entourage personal network, ask friends and family members. You can reach out to private investors or angel investors, right? You can get a loan if you have a good credit or your company or you have good credit or you're comfortable that your financial situation is great. You want to try the credit line. That's pretty great. That's fantastic. You can also get a grant actually when there is an emergency, whether a public crisis or or a pandemic or a weather event. Basically, the government has extra grants. There is a variety of grants available, but you just need to do a little research and see the one that applies to you. So you can actually get free money. It's not really free 100%, but it's let's just say 90% free. It could be a grant, it could be a subsidy. So this is very important. You could also think about SBA loans. They come in different forms and shapes. You have 7A, express loans, 504, community advantage loans, and micro loans. Now, for more info, go to sba.gov funding programs slash loans. Now, the differences usually relate to the amount you can qualify for, the criteria you have to comply with to be able to be eligible, and they also have some conditions around the business size. They have conditions around the revenue, the projected revenue in the first year or the first 3 years, that kind of stuff. Let's move on. Number four. Again, folks, I'm talking to you here about the five C's of business success. So we talked about what? We talked about cash, competencies, and we also talked about what's the that one here? Compliance, of course. So compliance, competency, cash, and now let's move on to communication. You want to beef up your communication. This is very important, right? And you can do this online on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Twitter. Those are, according to research, the top five social networks where you can really sell your face mask, especially that um, there is a possibility for you, depending upon your own model and business model, your own vision and business model, to use Instagram, right? And Pinterest also. You have to think about your website, right? Do you want to open an e-com, an online store? Do you want to have a, you can do this, you can do so by, checking Shopify or some of those platforms. There are many of them. You have to think about advertising. Do you want to advertise? Do you believe it is going to help you? I believe so. I believe in this when there is an emergency, when there is a weather event, when there is a crisis, when there is a pandemic, whether locally or globally, it's always good to advertise your services, to advertise your products. Of course, if you're adding value to the community, if you're helping the authorities curb the spread of a particular disease or particular virus or germ, it makes sense to advertise it, right? To let the whole world know that you are doing good and that you intend to do good. Go through the local channels. I'm talking about community organizations, charities, news channels. You want to be able to reach out to local journalists, local reporters, and tell them about your business. Use word of mouth, right? Word of mouth is always good. Word of mouth can come in two ways. It can come online through customer reviews or offline through client reviews, but more verbal. And now, I just want us to, before I just wrap this up here, branding is key, folks. When it comes to communication, you want to have branding really, really, really taken care of. I'm talking about your logo. You want to have your logo on the products, on the face mask. Of course, if it is sanitary, it has to be sanitary, but you have to take that into a consideration, which is why I was saying earlier you need a good graphic designer. Unless you have expertise in that field yourself, you want to reach out to somebody who has the knowledge you need. And the last C, the fifth C, is charity. Very important to do some good. You can do charity work by volunteering. You can volunteer your own time or your employees' time. You can donate face masks. You can also contribute expertise. If you have expertise in a specific field, you can just go ahead and do that. Now, it's very important because I believe that karma is necessary in all aspects of life, especially in business. If you do good, good is coming to you. And, let's just beyond the karma aspect of things, having a strong corporate social responsibility. That's the big word. That's how they call it, the CSR. By doing charity work, you can make sure your company has an improved public image, greater customer engagement, increased brand awareness and recognition. You can have a competitive edge. And most importantly, your employees are happy. They're happy because they feel like their work is participating to the joy and positivity in society, right? So this is very important to take care of that. So, the five C's here we're talking about compliance, competency, or communication, cash, and charity. All right. Now, before I even basically wrap this up here, here are the 15 steps that you need to launch your DIY face mask business today, folks. Very important. 15 steps, 15 easy steps. I'm going to leave this on the screen. You can take a screenshot. You want to remember this. This basically sums up everything I've talked about, but it goes more in details here. So, number 1, evaluate yourself. What is your passion? What are your skills? What is your area of expertise? Do you have any kind of sewing experience? Are you a sewist? Are you a seamster, a seamstress, a tailor? I know a couple people have told me that there is a big difference between a seamster and a tailor. Not really sure about that, but I think there is, because I think tailors are more like sort of high level seamster, if you will. But my idea here is you want to evaluate yourself, not just personally, professionally, but also financially. Make sure that you have the cash to start this new adventure. Number 2, evaluate how your skill set and personal situation can boost your mask business, right? Do you have some kind of forte that can help you? Number 3, do some market research, trying to understand where the demand might be, where the rivals are, right? Are they local? Are they at the city level or the state level? Seek feedback. It's very important. Reach out to your friends and colleagues and family members. Ask them, right? Because the last thing you want is make mistakes that can be costly, right? Now, number 5 is kind of key, folks. You want to clarify your target audience. When you wake up at 2 a.m., you want to have a clear idea of who your target audience is. Who is that person? Is it a family of two, three? What is the size? Are we talking 10,000 people? Is it people in your neighborhood, in your city? What is their lifestyle? What is their age? What is their income bracket? Those things you have to really, really get clarified. You also want to do things the legit way. I spoke about that earlier. You want to make sure that you have an attorney who can help you incorporate, get an EIN, take care of all the necessary local permits and licenses. Number 7, develop a business plan. Now, I'm not, our show we have covered. If you get a chance, go into our database. We have more than 150 to 200 videos, and we've covered the business plan aspect several times on several shows. So you need to have a business plan. You want to seek funding for your DIY face mask business. Funding, I spoke about that. You can get it internally through your own money or externally through your entourage, your family members, loan, investors. Find a location, right? Do you want to produce from home? Do you have extra room, extra space in the house, in the basement, in the backyard, in the front yard? Think about that. You want to buy equipment, or you want to get secondhand equipment ready for use. Or sometimes you have some companies that even can lease. They do equipment leasing. So if you don't want to invest money because time, because cash is tight and you are not very comfortable with the future, you're not sure about the future, you want to think about leasing. Hire staff. Number 11. Staff is key, right? You want to get the right talents to boost your business. Think about logistics. I'm talking about shipping, distribution. Again, if you want to cover the whole city or the whole country or the whole state, then things become a little tricky. If you're covering only the neighborhood, it's fine because you can just drive or even walk to your neighbors and just drop the products, right? But if you want to cover a larger portion of the city or the states, then you need to think about logistics. Craft a smart plan. Now, you want to give yourself 3 or 6 months minimum. What is smart plan? Smart stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So you want to have a clear idea of how long you want to be in the business, or how quickly you need to start making money or change course, right? So again, SMART stands for, so SMART here is the SMART I'm talking about here. So the SMART here, SMART plan stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Now, number 14, you want to develop a communication plan. And I'm talking here not only online, but also offline. Online, again, earlier, you go with social media, the Facebook, the YouTube, the Pinterest, the Instagram, and the Twitter. You can either do it passively, in other words, just tell people you have a page, or you can do it actively by paying for ads, by advertising, quote unquote, aggressively on Facebook to be able to gain some exposure. You can also communicate offline here, right, by reaching out to various channels. You can reach out to the local reporters. You can reach out to many members of the community to talk about your products. And you want to launch your product. Once you've done all those 14 things, you need to set a date to launch your product. I would suggest you do it as quickly as possible because sometimes, crises, whether they are healthcare crises or weather events, those things can be very quick. They can last a few weeks or months. And don't believe you're the only one thinking about a business idea. You have a lot of people who are thinking the same thing you're thinking. So you want to act quickly. So when you are ready to launch your products, make sure you're able to get officials, government officials that is, or community leaders to back the initiative. You want to have some kind of official stamp of approval, right? To kind of create the buzz you need. Okay, so here you have it, folks. Here are the 15 things you need to do to be able to launch your business. Now, let's quickly wrap this here. So we are talking about the recap, right? The recap here. So today I spoke to you about the fact that you need to know the primary types of face masks. You need to familiarize yourself with the DIY types of face masks. You need to get the necessary equipment, basic sewing tools, hand sewing tools, machine sewing tools, cutting tools for sewing needles, marking tools for sewing, and measures tools for sewing. You need to familiarize yourself with the CDC's sew and no sew instructions. Now, of course, I'm not saying that you need to necessarily know the nitty gritty of those instructions, but it's good to know what the authorities have put out there on how to arrest the progress of a crisis. All right. And number 5, you want to implement the 5 C's of business success. Again, compliance, competency, cash, communication, and charity. So this is basically it. My pro tip. I like to give a pro tip every time we have a show because I think it kind of helps the audience understand exactly what they need to do when it comes to the vision. To make money mass selling DIY face masks, you want to follow the 3 G's. Government. You want to comply with all government instructions. I've said it several times throughout the show. It's very important. You want to think about the greater good, right? Think first about helping people, saving lives, bringing relief to communities, to children, to seniors, right? Money comes afterwards, but you want to first add value. You want to first relieve people. And number 3, don't be greedy. So when it comes to setting the price for your mask, please resist the temptation to take advantage of a crisis to increase prices and try to make a quick profit. Price price your mask, your face mask reasonably so that people can buy it and you can make money by providing a service. All right. So this is it, folks. Of course, we have. Please subscribe, share, like, leave a comment below, and I really appreciate you listening to us. Thank you so much. Be safe out there. Be generous out there. Be blessed out there, and most importantly, be marvelous. I will see you next time.